freedom-based organizations that's helping us along in the fight. He's the founder, president, CEO of one of the fastest growing internet marketing companies in the country called Angel Vision Technologies. And he also happens to be our vice chair of the Libertarian National Committee. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce my friend, Mike Jingozian.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Michael Jingozian. I'm the vice chair of the Libertarian Party, which means that I'm one heartbeat away from the most controversial position in American politics. When Mike asked me if I'd come here, I get asked a lot to speak at state conventions. This is the first state convention I agreed to. I'm a good friend of Mike's, and I really had a nice experience last time I was here. I thought that the best thing that I could talk about is how to position the Libertarian Party. I know as a representative of the Libertarian Party, I'm often asked questions about the LP, and I thought that it would be beneficial to all of us if we could just talk about how to position the Libertarian Party, because I know that there are some misconceptions. I know that some people think that we believe in one thing and not the other, and so on. So I thought that we'd start off today by having a typical conversation with somebody that I run into every day. And this is actually a real conversation that took place between myself and my older brother Jim after I was elected vice chairman of the party. Okay, so I'm going to need a volunteer to read the comments by my brother as they come up. But I need somebody who has good acting and theater skills. Are you, okay. All right, you need to play the part, okay? All right. Here we go. Guess what? The Libertarian Party. This is your part.
What the hell you do that for?
Okay. Yeah. Well, you know, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about our country. I'm concerned where we're headed. I'm concerned that the people representing us are not concerned about our future. They're only concerned about themselves. And I think that I can do something to fix the problem.
So you think that you can do something about it?
Well, you know, I got some business experience. I have some marketing experience. I'm adept on the internet. I think I can bring to the Libertarian Party some capabilities that they might not already have.
Don't you know voting for a third party is a wasted vote?
Well, I've never heard that one before. Well, you know, I think that voting for a Democrat or Republican is a wasted vote. As a matter of fact, it's worse than wasted because you're supporting a corrupt system. If the only vote that really matters is one that's outside the system. You know, the Democrats and Republicans have convinced us, very wisely, that they're the only parties in town that voting for a third party is a wasted vote. I mean, if McDonald's and Burger King got together and conspired to force Wendy's out of the market, we call that illegal. But in American politics, it's considered good politics, I suppose. But you know, if you're voting for a Democrat or Republican, I'd say stay home. Because you're wasting your vote if you vote for a Democrat or Republican. You're doing a good job.
You can't even get on the ballot in every state.
Well, you know, there are some states we can't get on the ballot, and that's not our fault. That's because the Democrats and Republicans are terrified that people are going to look outside the two-party system for alternatives, for choice, and that they're putting up these huge barriers to prevent third parties from having access. You know, that's illegal. If the Democrats and Republicans had obeyed the same laws that we had to obey, then they wouldn't be able to get on the ballot in many states. It's absolutely ludicrous. I can go on and on about how asinine the ballot access laws are in this country, but it's just not a fair, level playing field. Oops, what happened?
What are you smoking over there in Oregon?
Come on, aren't you concerned that people running this country aren't looking out for our country at all? They're only concerned with fundraising and getting reelected.
But you can't even get on TV.
We don't need to get on TV. Fortunately, we have the internet. The internet doesn't cost anything to advertise on. We're not trying to become a majority party in the next election. There's a lot of people out there already that are so disenchanted with the two-party system. Most people actually believe that they're libertarians when you actually ask them what they believe on the issues. We don't need to get on TV. What we need to do is just increase exposure in our party, let people know that we're there. I think we could easily get 5 or 10% of the population to vote for us, even if they knew we were just an option on the ballot.
But your candidates are always such lunatics.
Come on. Everybody, all people in politics are lunatics. The Democrats and the Republicans have their share of lunatics too. They just have so many other candidates that they drown out the lunatics. But a lot of people in politics are considered lunatics. We have our share, so does every party.
You really think you're going to win the presidency?
No, I don't think that the Libertarian's going to win the presidency in the next election, but we can get 5 or 10% of the vote. We can create a crack in the dam, which will let other reasonable, qualified candidates come into the system. Like, one of the problems we have in the party is that we don't have a lot of qualified people running for office because there's this stigma that we're going to lose anyway. But I don't believe that's the case.
But all you guys talk about is guns and weed.
That's not true. No, we talk about other issues too.
Gun-toting pot smokers.
So let me ask you a question. So evidently you like what's going on in politics today. You must like Obama and what's going on. Well, thank you for your help. This is the time in the conversation where you just ask the individual, so you like what's going on? And now you hear what they really think. No, I can't stand the political system. Those damn politicians just looking out for themselves. What we need is choice. What we need is competition. Well, that's what I've been trying to tell you. That's what we need, choice, competition. If you ever get into an argument with somebody about libertarian politics, just say, look, you like the system the way it is? Because they're not going to agree that they do. Okay. There are some issues that are ramifications of our two-party system. Now, I know that we have a new president. A lot of people are enthusiastic about President Obama. I certainly hope he does a good job. I know all of us hope that he can turn things around. But regardless of who's president of the United States, there are certain ramifications of the system that we're a part of today that you can't deny. Here are some of these ramifications. We're afraid to tackle tough issues because they're politically unpopular. So as a country, we only discuss distraction issues. Our politicians offer only Band-Aid legislation, Band-Aid solutions, and feel-good legislation. If there's a tough decision to be made, they're not going to make that decision. They're going to make the easy ones. They're going to pretend the problem isn't as bad as it is. They're going to sweep the issue under the rug and hope it goes away, at least until the next term.